fortunate to have the sanctuary right next door that we could move into. I would just ask that everybody acknowledges that this is a church sanctuary, and we'd like to try and keep the debate as civil and as positive as possible. I think there are people who have both pro and con feelings about any proposed legislation. So the format that we'll now follow is that Senator Meyer will talk about the proposed legislation. And I would ask that we hear Senator Meyer his complete presentation, which I think will take about 10 minutes, Ed? Or so, whatever. And then after that, we will have a question and answer session, which I will moderate. And you can ask whatever questions you would like. And I want to make it clear that those should be questions and not statements. So any questions, clarifications, and so on that you would like to ask Senator Meyer. And then following that, we will, at around 12:15, conclude. We will conclude with a prayer. So if anybody feels that they do not want to stay for the concluding prayer, they're welcome to leave at that point. And we also will have an action-oriented sign-up sheet, which Shannon has over here, for people who would like to take a more active role in gun control legislation efforts. And with that, I'll hand over to Ed.
Thank you, Craig. And Shannon, thank you for this too. Shannon Clarkson is one of the sponsors of this forum, and I thank them for inviting me on such a timely topic as gun control. I want to also acknowledge the presence today of a policeman, a Guilford policeman, who just retired this week, Pat Larity. When I went to the police chief in Guilford and asked for training about guns, because I didn't know a great deal, I had a Red Ryder BB gun when I grew up. The police chief assigned me to Pat Larity, and Pat took a couple of hours to really take me through weapons and guns and explain the differences. And in a minute, I'm going to have him come up and we're going to look at an assimilated weapon, and he's going to explain it. Let me tell you, first of all, quickly about the current law in Connecticut concerning guns. Permits are required for handguns in Connecticut. Permits are not required for rifles or other long guns. And the following types of people are not allowed to possess handguns. That would include people who've been discharged from a criminal proceeding by reason of being found having a mental disease or defect. They're not guilty of a crime, but they've got a mental disease or defect. People who have been in a mental hospital in the 12 months before applying for a permit. People who've been convicted of a serious juvenile offense, or adults who've been convicted of felonies and some serious misdemeanors. People who are subject to a protective order, they're not allowed to approach somebody, can't get a permit. And there are a few other provisions as well. As I said, there's no permit required for a rifle or another long gun in Connecticut. But there are people who are disqualified from being able to possess a long gun. So if you go and buy a long gun, a rifle, there's going to be a waiting period while the law authorities look to see if the person is disqualified. You would be disqualified from getting a long gun if you've been convicted of a felony, if you've been convicted of a serious juvenile offense, if you're the subject of a protective order, very much like the handguns, if you're subject to a firearm seizure order. So those are the kinds of things that disqualify you. Assault weapons have been banned, I'm putting that in quote, in Connecticut since 1994. There are a couple of significant exceptions. If you got an assault gun before October 1, 1994 and registered it with the Department of Public Safety, that's an exemption. You can have an assault gun, assault weapon if you've done that. Assault weapon is defined extremely technically. And consequently, when we look at the AR-15, the Bushmaster AR-15 that Adam Lanza used in Newtown, that was a perfectly legal gun because of definitional issues. And I thought I might ask Pat Leary to come up and take a BB gun, actually, that I bought at Walmart here in Guilford that looks exactly, as he will tell you, exactly like an assault weapon. Pat?
Just want to verify it. Gun's not loaded. It's never been loaded. Doesn't have a charging cartridge in it. This BB gun, which was designed to look like.
Use the microphone, please.
I tried my best, but moving around with this, I'm more of a mobile type person. This particular BB gun was designed to look exactly like the AR platform. Anybody wonders what AR stands for? It actually stands for Armalite Rifle, not Assault Rifle. Okay? The rifle was, however, designed by a man named Eugene Stoner as an assault weapon. It was designed based on military specs for one purpose and one purpose only. That was to kill people. It has been adapted, like very many other weapons have, for sporting use and other uses. But you understand, at its core, this weapon was designed as an anti-personnel weapon. In Connecticut, under our previous restrictions, any of these weapons that have this device right here, which is called a pistol grip, you can hold it with one hand, much like you would a handgun or anything else. It's a pistol grip. This is a qualifying feature to make this weapon an assault rifle. The other features in Connecticut that are either qualifying or disqualifying are an expandable stock, a flash suppressor on the end, a bayonet lug, which this BB gun does not have, the ability, obviously, automatic or semi-automatic. Anybody who doesn't know the difference? Semi-automatic weapon, with one pull of the trigger, you fire one round. Automatic weapon, you pull the trigger and hold it, it will fire as many rounds as that gun has in it till it either expends those rounds or you take your finger off the trigger. The assault ban we had in Connecticut was pretty much effective in eliminating a lot of the weapons you wouldn't want to see out there. Was it an inconvenience for some people? Yes. But it worked somewhat. Some of the things that you need to know when they talk about magazines. All right? Magazine is this device here, which I don't believe on this weapon even comes out, or if it does, it comes out in the end. Magazines will hold your bullets. Okay? When they start talking about rounds, one round equals one bullet. All right? So this can hold, in the current ARs out there, usually anywhere from 5 up to 30 rounds are the most common. Most of the ones you're going to see that are about this size, this is probably comparable to a 5-round magazine size-wise, are your 5, 10s, and 20s. 30 rounders, you'll see, ones you'll see in the pictures, they look a little bit bigger. Obviously hold 30 rounds. There's as many technical features to these guns as you will find in a car. As many different options. You go to buy a new car, you go into the car dealer and say, you know, I want this feature, I want that feature, I want this feature. The same thing applies to these. I could give you a 3-day course on the construction and features of these weapons. Just try to summarize. If anybody has specific questions later, I'd be glad to try to answer them for you. I'll be here to help Senator Myers with anything he needs.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, so